Does the word negotiating make you feel nervous? When you receive a new job offer, do you instantly feel dread when you think about needing to negotiate your salary or any other options on the package? Well, if this is resonating with you, this video is also for you. I'm going to share tons of tips about how to get in the right mindset to negotiate and to also make sure you are keeping your needs in mind during those negotiations. Hi, I'm Coach Micah from Shine Bright Career Coaching. Thanks for watching our channel today. We have created this space for our community to learn everything about job searching techniques, interview tips, and more. Today I'm talking about negotiations, and this is really a hot topic for those of you who are looking for jobs and accepting offers. Stay tuned through the whole video because I'm going to share with you not only how to prepare to have the right mindset during negotiations, but how to stay focused, consider what the options are for negotiating, and how to make sure that you are getting what you want at the start of your new job. So here we go. So what's the right mindset to have going into negotiating your new job? You're super excited, you've been made an offer, it looks pretty good, but you know that you need to probably negotiate a few different aspects. So how do you go into that conversation? Well, the ideal mindset of negotiating is to make sure that you are very clear on what your needs are and what is most important to you, and to be able to communicate those needs to your future employer. It's also incredibly important to keep the mindset that the person you're having the conversation with, your future employer, is not out to get you. Do you know what I mean? Out to get you. We get so tense and feel like we're going to battle in negotiations, but actually your future employer is someone you're developing a relationship with, a new relationship. And negotiating is a part of making sure that that relationship is going to be healthy for both parties and that both parties have their needs met at the onset. And so that sounds a little less intimidating, right? They're not out to get you, but you're rather having a conversation to make sure that everyone clearly knows where they stand and what they can expect. The last piece is to make sure that you are ready to come into this with a positive mindset, and when things get tense, which sometimes they do, that you'll be able to remind yourself that acting honestly, authentically, and communicating your needs is going to help you get what you need out of this negotiation. So stay tuned. I'm going to break that down and help you to understand kind of step by step how to get into that mindset, how to communicate those needs, and how to really look at the whole picture of negotiations, making sure that you are getting what you need at the beginning of this new career opportunity. Okay, so how do you get that healthy mindset going into negotiations, the one I just described? Starting off, the mental prep that you can do will be really based on 3 easy concepts. The first one is that good paper makes good friends. So what does that mean? Well, when negotiating contracts, what you're doing is setting boundaries. You're saying, this is important to me, this needs to be met, and so is your future employer. And then when you can come to an agreement and sign that contract, then what there is a very healthy playing field for your relationship to begin as you start working together. So good paper makes good friends is something to keep at the front of your mind. This is what your goal is, to make sure you're clearly articulating your needs, you're making sure that you're prioritizing them, and that also your employer is prioritizing their needs, and you're finding a way to agree and build this contract that keeps both parties happy and safe at the onset of that employment relationship. The second one is just nurturing that idea of a relationship. So a contract negotiation is really the onset of your new relationship. And your future employer is there to not get you, not, show up and be someone that you're just having to really fight with, but rather someone you are entering, again, a relationship with. So when you're thinking about negotiations, that's who you're negotiating with. You're negotiating with somebody who you are going to have a long relationship with. And the more you start off with clear communication and making sure you're articulating your needs, the better that relationship is going to be. And the opposite is true too. The more that you listen to what their needs are, the better your relationship's going to be. It really paves the way for open communication. The last one is that in business, it's not personal. It's really easy to get emotional, feel tense and stressed around the subject of negotiations. But if you remind yourself once more that at the beginning of this relationship, you are speaking clearly, articulating what your needs are, and you also don't have to accept anything that doesn't feel right to you. And this is about, again, building a safe playing field for you to be a good employee and for them to be a good employer. So it's not personal, although it feels tense. And sometimes if it does feel tense in that moment, being able to say something to yourself to take a deep breath, it's not personal, and then come back and try a different way of articulating that need. These are the types of tools that can help you stay calm and focused during the negotiation. All right. The second thing to focus on, this is more before, during, and after negotiations. One of the biggest and most simplistic concepts is to make them like you. Within negotiations, like I said, there will be moments where it feels very, very tense, and that is to be expected, even in the best of negotiations. But how you manage your feelings and how you show up actually can really navigate whether or not you get what you need and whether or not you really do accept that job offer. So focusing on managing tensions, going into that negotiation with a strategy for yourself. Okay, when it feels tense, I might try some of my phrases. Good paper makes good friends. Reminding myself I'm at the onset of a new relationship, but also reminding myself that this is to be expected. Within negotiations, there will be tense moments, and I can choose to get really stressed about them. I can choose to get very competitive, or I can choose to follow my strategy, which could be taking a deep breath, asking for a moment to think, or repeating some of these internal dialogues that might help you calm your nervous system. The next point that I want to share with you sounds so simple, but it's be polite. Again, when we get stressed, when we feel tense, and when we haven't prepared for that mentally, sometimes niceties and our ability to be polite are the first thing that go out the window. So if within our negotiation strategy and the preparation that we do, we actually think about ways to be polite and ways to ask for things in a way that feels polite, respectful, and also like you've thought things through. People often can tell when somebody has not prepared for a negotiation, for a conversation. And so when you do take the time to prepare, come up with strategies like we're talking about, what you're actually doing is letting that future employer, that person you're negotiating with, understand how much this is important to you. You've prepared, you've thought it through, you're finding ways to stay calm and also stay polite throughout this conversation, which again, can be tense sometimes. So it sounds very simple, but it's a really good reminder. And that's kind of my next point is how can you show up? So you can show up in a lot of different ways, but the more preparation you do, the stronger your ability to stay focused and stay on point during the negotiation. And the best key to that is to practice. So before you have this conversation, sit down and write a few scenarios that might pop up, things that might stress you out. If you understand that they may be a little flexible in some areas, or they might really not want to give you what you want, find ways to talk through that moment before they happen. So writing those out, sharing them with a loved one, finding an old colleague or someone that's within your professional community that you can kind of talk through these points with is an excellent way to practice and make some mental space for you to feel stronger and more intentional in the moment should those situations come up. So practice is really, really key. The next point is to actually let them know you want the role. Sometimes in preparing for negotiations or when we haven't done enough preparation, we very much think about, well, if I have another offer or if I tell them I have another offer, I can maybe negotiate more salary. I can do all these different things. And these types of strategies actually can confuse you in the moment and lead to awkward moments. They can also convey an air of, I don't really need this job. And there's nothing that somebody within a negotiation dislikes more than feeling like they're negotiating with someone who doesn't really care. So make sure that you, throughout this conversation, let them know that you are excited about the role, share with them some of those reasons that are really specific, and continue that mode of, I want to be here, I want this role, I want to make this conversation and this negotiation work. That goes a long way when things do get tense, or when perhaps they're considering how much they can give you. Making them like you, letting them know that you want that role is an excellent way to maintain as much likability within this kind of conversation that can be tense sometimes. There's another aspect of this that people get stuck in sometimes, and this is something you should just not do. So the third phase of what I would love for you to be kind of working through in your preparation is do less of what they do not like. This sounds really, really simple. So don't be late. Don't show up in inappropriate attire, all of those things, right? But the number one thing that I want you to remember that employers don't like and people do not like is don't make ultimatums. People don't like ultimatums because it immediately puts them on the defense. So you have to give me this salary within this range or I'm out of here. As soon as you do that, you're out of there. But if you can think about different ways to convey that that salary point is very important to you, then you're going to have a lot better chance of actually getting closer to that salary point. As soon as you make people feel defensive or cornered, you're going to lose a lot of clout with them. And, keeping open communication, being able to convey and articulate, again, what your needs are, why you're asking that is huge. Another piece of doing less of what they don't like is don't lie. So this seems really simple, but not telling the truth within negotiations, again, leads to more awkward situations. And what I mean by this is sometimes we will have two offers and we might be negotiating between 100K and 120. And the offer we have already in our pocket might be 100K. And when you go to negotiate the offer with the second company, you might say, oh yeah, I've already been offered 120, and you're trying to push them up. But what you're really doing is complicating something that's already tense, and you might kind of trip up. Sometimes the smallest little simple, what feels like white lies to us, just begin to complicate and compound. And then you can't really come to this conversation the way you need to. Authentic, honest, open, so that you can have that open conversation that allows you to articulate what your needs are. The second you start lying, it kind of complicates and grows on itself. And before you know it, you might really be backed into a corner you didn't mean to be backed into. So the best policy is honesty. And it also, just as a reminder, helps you to be ever more present and to simplify an already complicated conversation. And another piece of this, do less of what they don't like, is don't negotiate just to negotiate. So often we feel like, oh, this is our only chance, right? But if you get a job offer and it's got the salary at the point you want, it's got the benefits, all the different pieces are in place, you don't have to negotiate. You can actually just accept that offer. So negotiations are important for many reasons if your needs are not being met. If there's space for you to get what you need, then negotiate by all means. But if it works, if it makes sense, then go ahead and sign that paper and, get into your new role feeling confident and with a really good start. All right. The last piece that's really, really important is helping the company justify why they can give you the salary or the additional benefits that you're asking for. So what does this mean? Often, when we are negotiating a new employment package, we only look at the salary. We think that's the only thing we should and can negotiate. It's a very short-sighted way to look at a new employment opportunity. When you get a package, the first thing that is important to do, take a look at it, see if your needs are being met, see where there are spaces for you to negotiate, whether that is in time off, flexibility in work schedule, salary is a piece of it, vacation time, or meeting again in 6 months or 1 month to renegotiate another piece of that. There's all these different threads of how you can make this offer tailored to you. And so getting stuck on just salary is very short-sighted. So once you understand what your needs are, where you might want to ask for more and use these different pieces of the package as negotiations, the next thing you need to do before getting into that conversation is to understand where this company and organization can be flexible. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you have really listened to the hiring manager or asked questions of the recruiter about this position and done your research about whether or not it's a new position, there's room for it to be tailored. Perhaps you know the company really offers a lot of professional development and that's something you could ask more for. You want to do as much research as you can to see where they could be flexible, to see where they could give you more. And you want to be quite clever about this because sometimes companies actually don't have the budget. Sometimes they actually don't have the ability to give you, a hybrid work model. But if you ask the recruiter or ask the hiring manager and try to find out this information before going into your negotiations, you can use all of that understanding of where they can be flexible to build a package that works for you. And even if that salary isn't where you want it to be today, perhaps it's really important to you to have flexibility. Perhaps it's really important to you to have unlimited vacation days. If this is something they can do, that's an area you can negotiate. The next piece is really piggybacked on that. So once you see where you want to make these differences and adjustments and you're asking to negotiate these different pieces, help them to understand that you deserve it. So if you are asking for a 10% salary increase because that is what you understand their budget can complement and it also really complements your experience, you're going to go in there and say something about how this 10% increase in your salary can allow you to work harder, work differently, work better for the team, and come out with these solid outcomes. Or if you're negotiating for a flexible hybrid work model, letting them know that if you work 3 days in the office and 2 days from home, the time that you would be commuting on those 2 days are hours that you actually can be contributing to your work. And that means you can show up better and stronger and prepare differently for the challenges and opportunities in your role. So again, this is a really, really simple strategy, but it does take preparation. It does take thoughtfulness, understanding what you're asking for and why they're giving you that piece of this negotiation is going to be beneficial for the company. What is the outcome of the salary increase? What is the outcome of the flexibility? What is the outcome of, extra money towards professional development? How is that going to positively impact the team or the organization? The better you can paint that picture, the stronger is your reasoning, the more they're going to want to be open to that. All right, one last reminder. It's really important to think about this package as a whole. Do not get stuck on salary. Think about all the different elements. I've named a few already. I also want to highlight a few that are really, really important areas that you look at when you're considering whether or not this package works for you. You want to have a very good understanding of your responsibilities, the location of where you're going to work, the amount of travel, who's going to be planning your travel, the flexibility in your work hours, the potential for growth, the opportunities to build more of the career skills that you want. There are even more and more pieces to these packages that you can consider. Sometimes it's industry specific, but the reason I'm asking you to do this is because you can build a package that's tailored to you. You can make up for maybe they don't have unlimited vacation time, but having that hybrid model actually works better for you. So if you don't pay attention to that and be able to ask for more of what you want, and again, this is where doing your homework, understanding where they can be flexible, you can put together this package that's going to be tailored just for you. Okay, I hope that gives you some new insights about negotiations. I hope that you can definitely do the mental prep as well as the actual writing preparation and practice prep. Negotiating, again, is about helping to create a space for you and your future employer to feel good about entering this employment contract, and it's also setting you up to be successful in this career opportunity. I really hope that these negotiation tips, strategies, and insights help you to feel inspired and motivated as you go into your next negotiation. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this topic, stay tuned for more. We're always coming up with different content about how to get the best job that's the right fit for you. And also, if you like our channel, please subscribe and leave comments. We're happy to answer any questions that pop up, and we're looking forward to seeing more of you.